Thank you so much for tuning in. You are watching an episode of Weddings in the Smokies podcast. My name is Ron Crivoloni. I own and operate Smoky Mountain Sounds, as well as I am the current president of the Smoky Mountain Wedding Association, Sevier County. This series is designed to help newly engaged couples with the daunting task of planning the wedding day. In this episode, we're going to discuss all the things to consider when booking a wedding venue. There's so much to think about apart from the aesthetics, and I think you'll find there's a lot of information that we're going to present today when it comes to what to look for with the venue. So let's get started.
Again, whether you're a newly engaged couple looking for tips or a wedding vendor seeking to find out the latest and greatest here in the Smoky Mountains, that is what this series is designed to do. My name is Jake Schick, wedding videographer here in the Smokies, and hosting with me is wedding DJ and president of the Smoky Mountain Wedding Association, Ron Crivoloni.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so to get us started with today's episode, we have a Reddit user who wrote, there's not much I can do now about it since my wedding is 2 months away, but the closer we get, the more I'm feeling uneasy and unhappy with my venue choice. When we first visited, they said the whole day is reserved for our wedding, so we can show up whenever to get ready, but our actual wedding is only 6 hours. We got the cheaper package, and we thought that was enough time. But now they are saying the package includes the getting ready process and the takedown. Our wedding is at 3 p.m. and they said they can accommodate and we can get there at 1 p.m., but we also have to do our rehearsal the day of too. So there's not enough time to get ready at the actual venue, which was a lot of the appeal of getting it for me. Their getting ready room is so gorgeous, but now I have to mostly get ready at my Airbnb. So today's episode is all about what to look for in picking the right wedding venue and questions to consider asking when going around looking for that wedding venue.
Sure.
So what's your take on just hearing a little bit of that Reddit story?
My take on it is a couple things. Number one, what I always feel when it comes to whatever or whoever you decide to book, whether it be a planner, a photographer, an officiant, flowers, so on, make sure that you're getting everything in writing on a contract. Because venues have different packages. Floral arrangements have different packages. DJs, videographers, all that have different packages, and it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that I would look for is when a venue says you get the whole day, make sure that that's in writing. Ask for them to get specific if that includes access any time after 10 a.m. that day up until what time that night. That's what I would start with. That's kind of my first piece of advice I would get would be to make sure that everything you discuss is in writing.
Sure, and we don't know what this wedding venues, we don't know what the reviews are like. We don't know who these people really are. But sometimes it's not even intention. Like they don't even mean not to tell you what the time includes. That the 6 hours to them could mean, oh, well, you get it for 6 hours. So however you want to use it, that's just how it's going to be. But sometimes those specifics get missed. And so it also makes sense for that couple to be like, oh, well, I thought the 6 hours included my entire wedding day. I didn't think about the takedown and all this other stuff. So like what you said, looking at that contract, looking at that fine print could also help clarify some things. And I don't know if this couple got that contract and how carefully they read it. I think sometimes we have couples who they just sign the contract and don't even consider a lot of that stuff.
Exactly.
So definitely.
So the first topic I think we'd look at would be your budget. Now, we're not the whole goal of this is to educate. It is also to just get the facts out there of what things to look for, because let's face it, the market has changed in the last few years to where, cabin weddings, especially in our area, are huge. Venues, of course, but Airbnbs have really come on the market the last 3 or 4 years as a way to host weddings and events. And the biggest challenges I see with that are the packages. And what I look from it is, no one's trying to sit here and say, well, if you can't afford this package, then this isn't, something you can do. It's more of trying to be on the same page of like, how can we accommodate what you're looking for, live up to your vision, but within this time frame or this budget. I do know from experience, and not saying everyone, but there are some couples who might take advantage of that by trying to plan everything in a shorter time frame than what. But I think it goes back to number one, really doing your homework and finding a venue that fits your criteria of what you're looking for is number one. Number two, looking at your budget and looking at their packages to see what really resonates with, oh, this is the time frame that we can get. Here's what the package is included. And really the nuts and bolts of what is it, a venue manager you're dealing with, or is it an actual planner who works with the venue manager to help guide you in that day. You also have to look at the ability here of if it's a destination wedding, where your guest's coming from.
Yeah, transportation.
Transportation, accommodations, how close to the wedding venue, accessibility for any relatives who might have, need help getting around, that type of thing. Rain plan, what does the time frame include? Here's a for instance. We know that some venues that we've worked at where you can have access as early as 11 o'clock in the morning. And you have access all the way up till 11 o'clock at night. But in that time frame, does that allow you to get your, let's say for the brides or bridesmaids, does that allow you to get your hair and makeup done? That does allow time for pictures, first look, all that to be done prior to the ceremony? Does it only mean that you can dress there, or you have to be on property already dressed? A lot of that has to be taken in consideration, especially for what time does the ceremony start? How long do you give for the ceremony afterwards for pictures and everything? Yeah. Cocktail hour, dinner hour, and dancing. When the time frame elapses that what you have to be out of there by, is that meaning that if it's an 11 o'clock time, does that mean at 11 o'clock that the event has to end, or that you have to be completely off
Gone.
Property? Yes.
And you also have to consider too, whether or not they are going to take care of your trash, or if you have to take care of your trash. If you have to take care of that and you have to be out by 11 o'clock, now you probably have to give yourself an hour before you have to be out to pack up and clean up all that stuff. And then where are you going to take the trash? Some venues will take care of it for you, but other venues may make you responsible for that. And without going through the contract or talking with them about that, those are things that couples don't right off the bat think about. They think, I want a venue that's going to fit this style for my photos, and I want a venue that's going to fit this amount of guests. But there's other logistics that go into it, where are you going to get your hair and makeup done? Do they have a kitchen? Maybe you might need to store your cake in there before the ceremony and whatnot. So you need a kitchen potentially. You need to have a spot for, if you have a DJ, is there going to be outlets for you to plug into? So there's a lot of those other things that you have to consider. And sometimes, especially here in Tennessee, having barn weddings, sometimes you end up in a position where they don't always have those accommodations. Sometimes they don't even have air conditioning and stuff like that. And if you have a summer wedding, you want to hopefully have something taken care of, or everyone's going to leave your reception well before the reception even starts. Sure,
exactly. The biggest thing that I notice, especially in the last, I'd say 5 or so years, is that a lot of your venues, even some of your Airbnbs or your cabin weddings, will have what they call a preferred vendor list. So whether it be a planner, someone who runs that particular venue, that will have resources available to you that you can reach out to get your questions answered. Yeah. And especially with a destination wedding, I recommend personally to reach out to a planner. Here's a person who has worked in the area. They've worked in a variety of different venues, cabins, Airbnbs. So they're familiar with the nuances, the do's and don'ts of things that you have to look at that you would normally think of planning a destination wedding. So my thing would be, look at that first. Look at, are there resources in line with what the venue is recommending, or do they have additional resources that they could reach out to help you do this? And I'm not saying that there aren't stories that happened out there where things haven't gone perfectly, because there are. Yeah. But the biggest thing that I stress in planning a wedding is just to seek out the people to help get your questions answered. And a lot of, I think, to me, is it's when you're looking at a venue or you're looking at a wedding professional in general, if you kind of do your little bit of homework, Google, whether it be planner or florist, a lot of them will be able to answer, do you do this? Do you do that? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I think, to me, that's part of the research in helping you make those decisions. One thing that we mentioned here would be, accessibility, because not all venues are built for that.
Especially in the Smoky Mountains.
Especially in the Smoky Mountains, especially cabins that have been built, let's say, a few years ago, not necessarily had it in mind for their cabin to be used for a wedding, but that's what people do, so they may not be accessible for everyone. And so those are things you have to make sure that when you do your homework on the internet, that it's true to picture of what it actually looks like. Rain plan. One thing I can tell you that wedding professionals in the area have to be, I don't want to use the word consumed with, but also has to be on their radar, get it, is the weather. Because our weather is so sporadic, and even when you look at radar on a wedding day, the day of, that radar could change so many times, and I know
change within 30 minutes. Even.
Within 30 minutes, or nothing's on radar and it rains anyway. So you always want to make sure that any venue you do, whether it's an outdoor indoor venue, has a backup plan. And that's simply for you, your guests, and of course the vendors that you hire, simply for protection. I can say that as much as technology has improved to where it might make it easier for what Jake does or allow them to do what they do, but one thing they haven't done is there's no such thing as waterproof DJ gear. So therefore, when DJs ask for a backup plan, they are doing that not for any other reason than go, if this is truly going to be outdoors, which is fine, but in case of, or at least a little coverage for protection of the elements.
It actually reminds me of a story I think about last year. We did a wedding at the stables at Strawberry Creek.
Yes.
Near Kodak.
Yes.
We had a day, and it was supposed to be a clear, but within 30 minutes before the ceremony started, it started pouring rain. So the planner went to ask the bride, they're like, hey, do you want to move it inside the stables? And she's like, no, I really want it to be done outside. I'll stand in the rain even. And I'm sitting there hearing this. I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do? I don't have 3 umbrellas, and even if I did have 3 umbrellas, who's going to stand over all my cameras?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was adamant. She wanted her wedding in the rain. So I had to go and pull 3 guests from the audience and be like, look, is there any way you can stand in front of my camera and hold the umbrella? You're going to save the bride's wedding video. So I was able to pull guests from the audience to go and stand over all my cameras and film, or cover my cameras as I was filming, and I was the only videographer that day too, so I'm managing 3 cameras, and we managed to make it work, so much so that I went running down the aisle with my camera to go and get the kiss, and I slipped and fell. My camera fell on the ground. I fell on the ground. I got mud on my back end, and the couple, right before they kissed, they all look at me. I'm like, I'm okay. 3, 2, 1, go for a kiss, and they went for the kiss. I got the shot. But I mean, you may think that, oh well, I can deal with the rain and stuff like that. But you do want to also consider the other wedding vendors. Don't view Plan B as like, oh, here's a Plan B just in case, but most likely won't happen. Like literally plan for your Plan B. And if you think the venue is not going to look pretty for your Plan B, then consider other options. Because if you're going to be upset with Plan B, I mean, there is going to be a good chance you're going to end up with that Plan B. Like, yeah, I mean, you can think that it's going to be sunny in the summertime, but in the summertime here in Tennessee, it does rain a lot. That's why we got this humid temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that you're going to be happy with your backup plan, because there is a 50% chance you're going to end up with that Plan B.
Yes, agreed.
And, your photographer is going to end up using that. That's going to be where your ceremony site's going to be at. So definitely consider venues that have a good A and a B plan. And make sure that you're also happy with that too, because it's not just in case. There's a good chance you're going to end up needing
Sure.
Plan B.
Absolutely. One thing else to consider with venues too is, what do the venues themselves offer? Is it a thing to where the venue itself is one thing, and then you have to make sure you hire the vendors for other things such as tables, chairs, linens, all that? Is that something additional, whether it be a planning company or a rental company that can provide all that for you? So, the biggest things is over the last few years, as Tennessee has grown in all industries with the weddings, more and more venues have come on the market. So there are many beautiful places in Tennessee to get married, many beautiful aesthetics when it comes to waterfronts, mountain fronts, or just, rustic areas that just make for beautiful wedding day, beautiful landscape, beautiful pictures, and great memories. And we definitely want that for every couple who choose this state to get married in. But it's very important as a destination to remember, what you need, what you're looking for, how you want to see that vision go through. And when you do come across the venue that is perfect for you, these are the things you want to consider as to what it's going to be. Does it fit within our budget? Is it going to be more than we anticipated? Is it going to be less? Because the average, one thing you want to also consider, the average is that more and more with destination weddings, you may not get the guest count as if you would a major city like a New York, Chicago, or something, or like even a Knoxville. Usually in this area, which I say area meaning the direct area of the Smoky Mountains, your guest count's going to range between 75 to maybe 125-ish.
That seems to be the average, yeah.
Where Knoxville, it might be a little more, but that would be about your average, and that because a lot of people, you're traveling, and so you've got to consider the ones who will travel and take the time off of work, accommodations, and all that. So those are things you want to consider too when it comes to the type of venue and what it is you're looking for.
And I didn't do internet research to find that average number, but I know from last year when I was looking around for a wedding venue for my wife and I to get married at, I found that what seemed to be the average price point, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think what I'm finding is that venues can cost anywhere averagely between $5,000 to about $20,000 roughly here in the Smoky Mountains area. The bigger the venue is, the more expensive they're going to get. But it also means you're going to have probably more things that are included with that venue, the higher the price point. And what I do know for sure is the two most expensive things when planning a wedding is the venue and the catering. So once you buy that venue, you probably bought the most expensive thing there, and everything's going to get cheaper from that point on.
Sure.
So that's something you want to consider when you're looking through all these items on this list, is they are very important. And if you can get that venue that's going to accommodate all these questions and things that you have, that you can rest assured know that that's going to be the most expensive, and it's going to get cheaper from that point onward when you pick your vendors.
In theory, yeah.
I mean, there's some weddings that I've seen of couples who've paid $45,000 for their venue, and I'm like, props to you. Hopefully it gets cheaper there.
When we post these podcasts, we will post this on our Facebook pages of Weddings in the Smokies and, of course, the Smoky Mountain Wedding Association. So if you find yourself coming across this and you like the topic and you have questions, feel free with each of the pages just to put a comment in there, and we'll do our best to respond to any questions or concerns you might have. So I think what we kind of want to do is recap.
Sure.
So with the wedding venues, you're planning a destination wedding. So again, you want to look at aesthetics. You want to look at, is it the rustic type? Is it a more modern feel? Is it a classic feel? What is it about that venue or the area that attracts you to want to have a destination wedding? I know a lot of couples look at it as it seems to be an area to where our guests are coming from a central location, and this is a great way to meet up, and or you have a history. Whether you vacationed here, whether you met here, whether you came here and this is where you decided to get in a relationship, then later on it's where you decided to get engaged. So there's a lot of reasons and a lot of great memories that are created for that as to why you have the destination wedding here, which we are very thankful for. But again, aesthetics come a lot to it. Is it an indoor-outdoor venue, or is it mostly outdoor, mostly indoor? Does it come with its all-inclusive packages? Does it come with its own vendor resources, or do you have to find your own resources in order to make that happen? And the biggest things I always say again are ask questions, make sure everything is in writing on a solid contract, make sure your communication is crystal clear with any vendor, whether it be the venue, whether it be the vendors. If you're not sure of something, if something doesn't seem right, ask more questions or even ask another professional. I've always of the mindset when it comes to a destination wedding, number one, you can't ask enough questions. And number two, ask a different bunch of resources, even in the same field. That way you're getting different answers and you could see, okay, this one thinks this way, this one offers this one doesn't offer that. Again, it comes to, is there a cleanup crew? Is there garbage cleanup? Is tables, chairs, linens come with that? Your flowers, what all comes with your flowers? Is it centerpiece? Is it just the bouquets? Is it, how can we decorate? What ways can we decorate? How much can we get it to look, the aesthetics?
Some people like to do sparkler exits. Well, not every venue allows
right.
that.
Some will do
flower petals too.
Yeah, bubble exit or the LED glow sticks. So those are things I think to consider when looking for a venue here in East Tennessee. And again, Weddings in the Smokies is a podcast designed to hopefully help educate, get you to look at things you may not have thought of, and also get you to go, hey, we want to come to the Smokies not only for our destination wedding, but also maybe future vacations. And again, as you're viewing this, if you have any questions, put questions in the comment. We'd love to hear from you and answer any questions we can. But again, my name is Ron, and we appreciate you for tuning in to our Weddings in the Smokies podcast.
Yes, and if you liked hearing what you heard on today's episode, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us on Instagram with the tag name Smoky Mountain Weddings, or you can find us on Facebook and you can join our group called Weddings in the Smokies, just like the name of the podcast, Weddings in the Smokies.
Yes. So again, we want to say thank you for tuning in this episode for venues and what to look for. Thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll see you on the next podcast of Weddings in the Smokies. And have a great day.